As part of a shop update, I'm going to show you this Mac tool creeper. It actually converts into a stool, or it's a stool that converts into a creeper. What I did is I had a couple of craftsmen roll around stools, and this is the one that I wanted to replace. It keeps breaking. The bottom part pan was made out of plastic, but the wheels keep falling off of it now. So I wanted to replace it. I saw this on the tool truck, the Mac tool truck, and I got it. What it is it converts into a stool. But one of the things the Mac tool guy told me was, and this is right up my alley, is what you do is you pull this pin out. I'm going to convert it and drill another hole in there so you can lean this thing back, sit on this, and lean back on this and work underneath a truck. Just kind of leaning back and having a stool to be able to sit on and roll around with. But I've used it as the stool. Of course, you can't put tools on it, but let me tell you the other issue is you're under a car with a creeper, and you're always looking to put tools down or something like that. What I think I'm going to do with this old stool, this old Craftsman stool, is cut the top off of it and make a pan out of metal that I can just roll under the car with me and throw tools and parts that you take off of the vehicles as you're working on them on, just so that I know where they are. I mean, you set them on the floor, then you run into them with a creeper. They're all over the place. The sockets roll off. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll show you this after I convert it. And all I've got to do is just drill a hole in here someplace that pin will go into, and then find a way of pinning this so that pinning this so that stays up like that. Anyways, I'll bring it back. Okay, so I told you that I would show you the creeper that I modified so that the pin would go down so that I could get under the truck, and what it's doing is just hanging up on that stuff. But as you can see, like I'm under the truck here and would be able to work on things kind of in a little bit of a laid back position. Now I've got to kind of duck to get under it, but once you get under the frame rail, you're fine. But anyways, I told you I'd show it to you, and so there it is. So getting back to this old Craftsman stool or seat, what I think I'm going to do is cut the top off, fix these casters so that they stay on. I'm going to put a metal pan on the bottom of this thing, and just use it to roll under the car when you're under the car or truck with a creeper. If you lay stuff down, it's always all over the place. You know, sockets roll off, you can't find the nuts and bolts. So what I'm gonna do is put a metal pan on this thing and put them magnetic trays on it so that you can set stuff onto the tray while you're under the car with a creeper. Just so that you can roll it around. I'm also going to probably make a little bracket that you can mount a light on so that when you're down underneath it, you've got a light you can shine wherever you want it to. But that's what I'm going to do with that, so that'll be an upcoming project. What I'm going to do is take you around and show you some of the stuff that's in my shop while I talk to you about a haul that I made. I didn't take any pictures of it. It was aluminum plate on a skid, 8x4 sheets of aluminum that had to go from Buffalo down to a city called Salamanca. And when I say city, it's a very small city. It's there's villages that are way bigger than this place. It's only got a population of less than 6,000. But there's something really kind of odd about it that I will talk to you about while I'm taking you around and doing a little shop tour. This is my Grizzly lathe. This lathe has a lot of backlash, and I am annoyed by it. I mean, it works for what I want to do, but you spend more time compensating for the backlash than you do usually turning pieces. Anyway, Salamanca is a city that is built on an Indian reservation, and it's incorporated as a city independent of the Indian reservation. But there are businesses and homes in the city limits, where the business or homeowners do not own the property. They have to lease the property from the Indians, and it used to be a 99-year lease, but now it's I think it was redone in the 80s or 90s, and it's a 50-year lease, or I think right now, but don't quote me on that. There's a little stand that I made to hold like angle plates, hold down plates, vices, stuff like that, that you bring it over. You can bring roll the cart over towards the lathe, mills, whatever you have to do, and just slide it off of there. As you know, some of those vices get pretty heavy. But anyways, Salamanca was huge back in the early 1900s. Big lumber industry in Salamanca. They had a lot of kilns, a lot of logging industry around the Salamanca area. So it also developed the railroad, and it probably would have turned out to be a lot bigger city had it not been built on the Indian reservation, because a lot of people, a lot of businesses are hesitant about not being able to own the property, just to have to lease the property from the Indians. Now, again, Salamanca is incorporated as a city, and you have to, the homeowners or businesses have to pay taxes for their house to the city. If you're an Indian and live in the city, you do not have to pay taxes. But anyways, American lathe, I'm in the process of trying to restore this thing. There's a lot of electrical work to be done on it, so that's kind of the reason that it's being put off. I have to get the motor is 220 single phase, but all of the controls for it are 110, so I have to get a some relay or something for it. Pretty long bed. I think it's 5 feet bed on the thing. And that lathe is a lot heavier than it actually looks. But anyways, so Salamanca kind of never really grew as a city like other cities in the southern tier of western New York kind of grew at the same time. They grew proportionally more than Salamanca probably because of the issues with the not being able to own the property, having to lease the property off of the tribe, the Seneca tribe, the reservation that it's built on. But there is just under 6,000 people that live there, and there is still quite a bit of businesses there. Lumber company still flourishes there. The railroad is almost extinct in that area. I mean, the tracks are still there, but it's hardly ever used anymore. Most of the stuff is trucked out. But anyways, I ended up having to go there, and I thought you would probably kind of enjoy hearing about it, because I'm not sure. It's the only city that I've ever heard of being built on or being on an Indian reservation. So if somebody else knows of another one somewhere else in the country, let me know. This is my old Craftsman toolbox, and I use it for like mics and stuff like that now. Bolt bin. I got saw this thing on Craigslist. Actually, the guy had a bunch of them, so I use it to store bolts and stuff in it. But anyways, it's quite interesting about Salamanca. You can look it up you can Google it, Salamanca, New York, and you'll see it. This is Cincinnati Mill, 205. It's called a Cint Mill. And these are my K&Ts, 2 of them. They're identical. I think the serial numbers are like 5 off, 4 off. But they're identical mills. Except for this one had the arm to swivel with the arm that holds the vertical. It's a horizontal mill, and it could hold a vertical head on it, and it would dock into here. I don't have the vertical head for it. It didn't come with it. And there's a Kennedy and Otto drill press back there. But anyways, I kind of thought maybe you'd like to hear about Salamanca. It's kind of an interesting situation. I'm over at the Kalamazoo bandsaw, and what I'm doing is I got the pieces of frame rail that I'm going to splice into the frame on the haul truck. And what I'm doing, they were just torch cut off of there. I told them that I wanted 2 feet, so they cut them a little longer. So what I'm doing is straighten them up, getting rid of any holes that are close to the edge or anything like that, and getting my measurement out. Actually, I'm cutting them, I need 2 feet. I'm cutting them 26 1/4. That's all I was able to get good frame rail out of the other one. I'll cut this one the same way. And I might put an interrupted weld in it, so I might put like a little dovetail or a notch on it, but let me bring you back for that. Excuse the, I'm going to have to step in front of you. why that does that is when they bend the frame into a C-channel, the bottom is actually a little wider than this spot. It's not exactly a 90-degree angle, so when I chuck it in the vise, it only is grabbing kind of on the bottom of it. So that's why it gets that chatter. I'll bring it back. Now I'm over to the welding bench. I just cut that off, as you saw, and what I'm going to do is lay out the 26 1/4. As you can see, I use the welding bench to clean the pieces up. There were some brackets and stuff that were left on the part of the frame rail that I got, so I had to get some bolts off, get some crud off of it. After I'm done cutting them, what I'm going to do is I plan on taking them over to the bead blaster and blasting them. Yep. I'll bring you back after I'm done. Okay, I'm over here to the welding bench again, and what I'm going to do is, before I put it in the bead blaster, I just want to deburr those edges so that when I'm in there grabbing it, I don't cut the gloves in the bead blaster by the sharp edges left on here. Okay, next up is the bead blaster. You're not going to be able to see that because the window is too small that you look in to put a camera up and be able to look in there at the same time. Just going to give you a little walk around on the truck. It's in the shop. I got to pull that weight bracket out. I've got to hook up the gooseneck today, pull something for a guy, and then tomorrow I've got to make another run to the Peace Bridge with that steel from North Tonawanda down to the Peace Bridge for that reconstruction project. But anyways, if you can notice down there, I've got the bumper pull hitch on. Yesterday I had to go out to the other side of Cleveland, Ohio, and it was power only. I just drove out there. What had happened, I had given a price to a guy on moving some auction equipment from Toledo, Ohio back to Buffalo. And he decided he was going to go out and get it himself. He went out, loaded it, fell off the trailer, did something, fell while he was out there loading it, hurt his Achilles tendon, or did something to his leg. But anyways, partway back he had a blowout on the trailer, and he just parked it at a DOT facility out there. So originally I was going to go out and try and recover it over the weekend, but that didn't work out because the facility was locked up. So I went out there yesterday, which was Monday. Drove out there. He told me it had a flat tire, so I stopped at his shop on the way, picked up a spare tire, and went out there. When I got out there, there was a couple of issues. First of all, the tire, the casing, it wasn't a retreaded tire. It's only like a 16-inch standard trailer tire, utility type trailer tire. The outside casing, the tread casing, had come off. Just the whole outside tread casing had come off as one piece and wrapped around the axle, wrapped around and knotted itself inside of the axle. Not only that, one of the bolts that holds the axle up had come off and was flopped down. Now, I'm not sure if that caused the the issue. I think what happened is he had a strap binder down and had the handle down, and I think it was rubbing on the tire and caused that flat. But to make a long story short, I got out there and, you know, with limited tools, I just took along enough kind of tools to change the spare tire, get the trailer jacked up and change the spare tire. I couldn't for the life of me get that tire unwrapped out of there. I'm not sure whether what I'll do is I'll throw up a couple of pics and pics of that tire on wrapped around the axle. What it did also is it broke the brake wires going into that brake on that tire. So whoever goes out there, if it's me or whoever goes back out there again, gonna have to take something to cut that tire with, whether it be a large set of tin snips or a cordless sawzall or a hacksaw or something, and then they're gonna also have to take some wire strippers and tape or crimp type connectors so that you can get that wiring for the brake back together. But it was kind of a fiasco. I ended up driving basically 180 miles one way to recover this trailer for this guy, only to get out there and wasn't able to do it. So long story short, the guy should have hired me to do it to begin with, and you probably wouldn't have had that problem. But anyways, I'll bring you back.